Did you like part 1 of my angel wing canvas? If you haven't watched it yet, I'll leave a link in the description or click here. In part 2 we are adding color to the background. I'm using inks and liquid acrylics. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications of future videos. Canvas is dry, all the textures are dry and the crackle base has crackled. Okay, so we have less crackles here because it was very thin over here. We've got lovely crackle here, all our lovely textures. It's rock hard now, dried overnight. That is the best when you're working on something like this, to make sure everything is bone dry, and especially your crackle as well. Okay, so what have I got? I have got my all-purpose inks. So that's all-purpose inks. You use them with a pipette onto the background, spray it with water. I have some alcohol inks. Alcohol inks are traditionally for non-porous surfaces, but they work amazingly well on a background. You get a really fabulous effect when this actually mixes into other inks and water. From the all-purpose inks was this blue Bayou. This color is just phenomenal. I really love this color. So because I'm gonna have the angel wings on here, and I want to do the angel wings in white and copper, I wanted to use very faded blues on the background. Even though these are highly pigmented, even these also very highly pigmented, I am gonna add a lot of water so that they are very faded. If you put any of these inks or any of the paint straight on the canvas as it is dry like it is now, it's going to absorb very quickly into the canvas and some of the textures, especially the fiber paste. It's not going to blend. So before we do any of the inks and stuff, we're going to spray the canvas. Okay, so it's not sopping wet, but I did spray a decent amount of water on there. So I'm going to start with the all-purpose ink. I'm going to start at the top and let it run down, because I wouldn't mind any drip or run marks. And because the canvas is going to be this is the top and this is the bottom, it'll be better if we start at the top and have the marks and runs and drips coming down to the bottom. Okay, so with the all-purpose inks, so you just use a pipette like this. You go into your ink, you pick up a little, and now I'm just gonna do a few drops at the top. Now you can see how it immediately bleeds into the crackles, and that's exactly what we want. And now I'm gonna hold it at an angle and spray more water, and I'm gonna pick it up even more and let it run. And you can see how it just works itself into all the texture. Now, like I said, I'm going to use a lot of water because I want it very faded. Okay, you can see how the fiber paste absorbs the color. The crackle paste, it goes into the cracks. The modeling paste is going to create a resist. So the whatever you did in modeling paste is going to still look white through the background. The crackle paste is going to have all the cracks accentuated, and the fiber paste is going to absorb the color that you put on top of it. So you're going to have different levels of color graduation, and there's still a lot of water on there, so I'm just going to give it a quick dry before we do the next color, because if I don't dry this now and I spray more water, I'm going to wash a lot of this off the background. So now we want to dry this, because all-purpose inks are permanent when they are dry. So we want to dry this. Once again, before we work on the background, we need to mist it. I take my alcohol ink. Now it's got this very, very thin tip. So now you're just going to tap the alcohol ink on. And I'm going for areas that don't have a lot of color. To get a real nice vintage color, I always mix burnt sienna with umber. So this is the liquid acrylics. It's like acrylic paint but very fluid. It's like in the fine art world they call it fluid acrylics. And it's highly pigmented, also permanent when dry. 1 drop of burnt sienna, the same amount of umber, mixing the two paints. And now I'm going to be very careful how I apply this, because I don't want brown over everything. Okay, so I am going to mist the top edge first. Paper towel ready, and I'm just going to touch the brown onto the corner. A little bit at the top, a little bit on the corner. Spray it. Don't want the brown to run any further, but I did want some brown around the edges to give it a bit of a vintage feel. So what I want to do now is just do some of the champagne on the background, and then I do want to bring in a little bit of this brown around this very, very thick texture we've got here, just so that it carries the vintage antique feel through the rest. I think I'll do champagne first. They're not as fluid. They're a lot thicker, so you need a little bit more water on the background. Water. So that will just now give a little bit of a shimmer in the background. So while it's a little bit on the damp side, I'm going to take the little bit of liquid acrylics that's on the brush, and I'm just going to start adding it around these areas. Now I know there's going to be wings here, so I'm not going to bother too much about these two areas, but down here and up here I'd like to add a little bit of the brown. Okay, see how it picks up on that texture. That is the background colors. Tomorrow we are going to start with the wings. I'm going to lay out the wings, and then we're going to use texture paste mixed into acrylic paints, and we're going to use a palette knife, and we're going to use what they call impasto techniques to actually paint the wings on. So the wings are going to be 3D. They're going to stand out from the background. So this is what we have now, and this just needs a really good dry. Tomorrow is the wings, and then the day after that will probably be the gold foiling and stuff on top of the wings. The canvas is taking shape now, and in part 3 we are using a palette knife to add the angel wings. Adding color is always fun. You can add as little or as much as you would like. I hope you hit that bell so that you can be notified when part 3 is available on my channel.